Woo-wee. Aloha, guys, and welcome to Lucy's Paradise Podcast. And boy, do I have a very special episode for you guys because we're going to talk about one of my most favorite things ever, and that is reality TV. so, this is going to be somewhat of a spoiler alert. However, by the time this comes out, the shows have already been aired for quite some time. So, just FYI, if you haven't watched Love is Blind Season 8 or Beast Games on Amazon Prime, then obviously this video is going to be a little bit of a spoiler for you. If you have watched those and you have come to hear my opinions about it, perfect, because that's exactly what I'm going to give you today in this episode. The first thing we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about Love is Blind Season 8. Wow. I just have to say, and I just watched a reunion. I took a lot of notes, but what's the most interesting to me is like I love when people don't get married at the end. Like I love the heartbreaks, and a lot of these I wasn't sure that I saw coming. I'm gonna be honest. Some of them pretty obvious and pretty apparent, but others you're just kind of like, no, maybe this one's gonna work out. So I was really surprised by this season. Really surprised at how many people actually did not get married this season. So I was really surprising. So let's deep dive into it a little bit more, right? A little more specific. All right. We're gonna start off with Sarah and Ben. And something that I think is and has been the trend for this particular episode is the fact that like differences in viewpoint were really a big deal in this episode. And in bringing that up, I think the biggest two examples, besides Sarah and Ben, is also Virginia and Devin, because they had different views on the prenup situation, with her wanting him to sign a prenup and stuff like that, even though he was very agreeable to it. It was just really interesting to see these different dynamics, and these different things and different viewpoints. And yeah, let's talk about Sarah and Ben. So Sarah talks about with her family in the car after saying no to Ben. And I'm kind of doing this a little backwards, but actually, no, let's talk about her saying no to him at the altar, right? So, which is, it's always baffling and crazy to me. You can like tell when they're about to break up with them because they say all this good stuff, and you're just like, oh no, they're saying all this good stuff. Like it's coming, you know? She just said all this wonderful stuff about Ben. And then he asks in that moment when she's like, I can't marry you right now. He goes, okay, I hope we can still date. And she like laughs. She goes, we'll talk about that. And I was like, oh my God. It was like the most awkward moment ever. Super cringeworthy moment. You could tell how uncomfortable she was in that moment. It made me uncomfortable. I felt horrible for Ben. But at the end of the day, her reasoning was that, you know, he wasn't very opinionated about things. And I think, you know, in a situation like that, you just have to kind of ask yourself, like, do you want to date somebody that has strong opinions? And I think in terms of Sarah, that probably just works for her. She would rather just date somebody that has strong opinions about things politically. You know, she talked about specifically like Black Lives Matter and LGBTQ rights and things like that she felt Ben just didn't really have an opinion on. And that's okay. You know, it's okay to not have an opinion. And for me personally, I have such strong opinions that for me, it doesn't make that much of a difference if I'm dating somebody that doesn't have as strong opinions as me. So for me personally, doesn't matter that much. For someone like her, like she needed that as a defining personality trait in somebody. especially the things that mean the most to her. And so that was interesting, you know. Um, it just is what it is, you know what I mean? That's how it is sometimes. But that moment was just so awkward. So awkward. Okay. Yeah, it was awkward. It was heartbreaking for Ben. He talked about so Ben talked about how like he didn't really feel like he could do anything differently. Totally agree with that because he was being genuine and being himself. Let's just say allegedly, right? Allegedly, as far as we know. But, if you really are being yourself and you really don't have an opinion on something, there's nothing you can do differently because you can't just decide to form an opinion if it's a matter that doesn't mean a lot to you. And yeah, so it just is what it is. She made her decision based on that, and it just is what it is. It's better to just end something like that early than to regret it later down the road, Um, so yeah, especially if it's something that you genuinely care about. If you care about certain issues more than other things and you want somebody that you date or that you are married to align with you strongly with those things, then that's the person you got to find. It is what it is. I really liked how Ben's friends were praying with him at the end, and it was really sweet. It was very touching. They were they were praying for his heart to mend and her heart to mend, and that was really cool to see. I really liked that moment, and it really showed what fantastic friends that he has around him that are giving him all that love and praise. So it was interesting. I also loved friends of Joey's. They seemed fun. Um, did I write a lot of notes about Joey? Let me see. Let me see if I wrote a lot of notes about Joey. Not too much. Oh, I did write a little bit. Um, Apparently, Joey slid into another cast member's DMs. I could see, yeah, it seemed like the trend this season seemed like point of view, perspectives, right? People's point of views, political point of views, a lot of some differences there. That was kind of a thing. And also social media, like outside world was a big factor this season in things that affected relationships in this season. Because then we saw with Dave, we saw, him just be convinced, that I forget even that girl's name. What is her name? Hold on. I'm going to pull all this up here. All these notes on, here we go. Okay. Joey, very cringy, rolling up on a longboard to a wedding. Super found that really fucking cringy. I mean, you're being you to the day you die, but holy shit, man. Like, tell me you don't take it seriously without telling me you don't take it seriously, Lauren. Okay, Lauren. Yeah, I think, I don't know really what to say about that one. Dave just kind of, I guess she's the one that got away, right? In Dave's perspective. It just goes to show you can't believe everything. You can't believe outside sources, you got to trust the person that you're dating. You got to trust the person that you're with. Not always, right? Because they might be sliding into other people's DMs and then maybe you made the best decision for yourself. But in that situation with Lauren and Dave, I think about like how I would feel in that situation, and if you're, and how I would feel is if I was dating or interested in somebody and they were like, look, I had a relationship with this person shortly before I got on the show, but it in my eyes, it wasn't anything. The unfortunate thing about trusting is you don't know that you can trust somebody until you do. And I feel like unless that person really exhibits untrustworthy behavior, then I'm going to try to take them at their word. I'm really surprised that Dave didn't, though. I really thought that after like one of their deep conversations that they'd be fine. And I'm just really shocked that he didn't. But I do want to say something. Falling in love, dating, that is all very vulnerable and very, very scary for a lot of people. And a lot of people don't take those risks. And look at Dave, for example, is he's not a person that really was dating a lot, right? And so yeah, I mean, you can be scared back into singledom, I guess. I mean, it happens. Um, I want to talk about Devin and Virginia. Okay, so I have different notes because I have notes on the last episode. I have notes on the reunion, and they're kind of merged a little bit together. Um, but those are the two trends that I saw in this season specifically: political views, perspectives on social issues, right, and outside sources coming in and kind of ruin relationships. But at the end of the day, like being on a show like that and then coming back into the real world, like you are probably going to experience being in your own world for a second and then now having to implement and like reintegrate your relationship into the real world. So that can't be easy. But when it comes to the last episode, and it's Virginia and Devin, and they're, you know, he's waiting for her at the end of the aisle, and she's coming down the aisle. There's a moment where she almost starts crying. Like you look like she looks like she's about to cry, and she looks, and it's the camera catches her, and she looks up at Devin. She's walking, and she's like, that was the moment I knew she was gonna say no. I was like, she's about to freaking dump this guy. I could tell. She said she wasn't ready. And Devin started crying. Man, that was nuts. He didn't see it coming. I didn't see it coming, except for like that one moment. I was like, nah, she might dump him. I liked Virginia's family having so much trust in her decision. That was really cool. It was such a contrast to Sarah's relationship with her sister, where her sister was kind of like, well, I think that like I know what's best for you. That I found that really interesting. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but I always try to notice like what, and even in real life dating, like what people have an influence on the person you're seeing. Like who has the most influence on them. But then in the show and watching the show, it's like who has an influence. Like obviously Dave's sister had a huge influence on him, right? Obviously Sarah's sister had influence on her, right? So when they start meeting these people, you know, their opinions do matter, as you can tell in a lot of these scenarios. But I really love that about Virginia's family, that they were just like, we trust you. Whatever you decide, we support you. I love that. I love seeing that. It's really cool to see that more than like the overbearing, I know what's better for you than you know. So that was interesting to see. Devin gave such a heartfelt speech. It was heartbreaking to see her say no, but it just is what it is. I'm glad people that had doubt didn't just get married and say F it. That's great. I love that. Let's see. I wrote Monica and Joey pessimistic versus optimism, and I'm not sure. Oh yeah. So the sister, dude, Monica. What is up with all these sisters, bro? Like, is this like a sister thing? Apparently, Monica's sister like didn't like Joey, and she says, "Oh, you have my blessing, but not my support." Like, what the fuck does that even mean? Somebody please, what does that mean? What does it mean to get someone's blessing, but then you don't have their support? I genuinely don't understand that. I would be incredibly confused. But yeah, I guess in a way, to some extent, you know, there's some people were picking up on something intuitively. That's all I know. Because Sister Sarah didn't really like Ben, and Sarah didn't end up picking him anyway. Who knows? I think there's some intuition out there that they're catching on to. Let's talk more about the reunion specifically. By the way, the last thing I had on here was that Daniel and Taylor I always thought were pretty cute. I think they're gonna go a long way. I think they're probably gonna stay married. But they're super cute. That one felt super right. I'm glad they got married. And they're like the only couple that did, so that's great. There was a little bit of an issue with Taylor feeling like he followed her or something, like on Instagram before they went on the show. I'm glad they were able to clear that up. That was weird. It kind of gave me Taylor's a little bit crazy vibes. In that, I didn't. Yeah, I don't know. It was weird. I don't know what to make of that, but whatever. I'm glad they got past it. Who knows? And there's like a million people that pop up on Instagram half the time. I don't remember, but I thought that was interesting. All right, reunion. Reunion. The one thing that I noticed right away is Megan Madison looked super pissed when they like introduced everybody. Don't know what that was about. They were like ready for war. I thought it was kind of funny that Daniel got Taylor's eyes tattooed on him, but it's cute. Whatever. I'm always down for tattoos. Let's see. I was really surprised when Devin was chiming in when Virginia was speaking. And it's interesting that Virginia was talking about his ex left a note and like I didn't even know that he saw her and all this stuff. And then Devin's like explaining that that's like one of his best friends. Boy, I'm going to tell you, it is never, ever, ever easy when there is somebody that is still in your life that is a quote unquote ex, even if they are now your best friend, even if you guys don't have a romantic relationship at all anymore and they're just your best friend, having that initial tie can always possibly be difficult. I've experienced this in my own life, but I've seen this a lot. I'm always very weary to get involved with people that are like still friends with their exes in like day-to-day life. Like unless you have a baby with them and like they're not like co-parenting, it's very strange, I think, to not have like moved on from these past relationships. That's just me. I know a lot of people don't think that way. And I'm not saying everybody's like shady. I'm not saying you can't have a healthy relationship with somebody and then their best friend might be someone that they so happen to date a long time ago, whatever. There's definitely a lot of friends that I'm still friends with that are like exes, but I don't hang out with them every day. You know what I mean? They're not like my best friend where like they're going to come and be in my wedding and shit like that. So, but I notice and I find it can always be difficult for the new person in your life. I think also like having that time established bond with somebody, and yeah, it's just hard. It's hard to date somebody when they're like still best friends with an ex and shit like that. So I'm not a huge fan of that. I would prefer dating somebody that doesn't have those ties anymore. Doesn't always happen, but I think that's always a better route to go. Let's see. The Devin and Virginia thing at the reunion, like there was just like a lot of bickering and arguing, and I don't know. It seemed interesting. These reunions, I find there's always like, it's almost as if like there really wasn't a final conversation, right? So even with Ben and Sarah and then with Devin and Virginia, it felt like they should have had like another conversation before coming on the reunion. However, that left the reunion great, I guess, for them bickering back and forth. It was interesting. Then you had the case of like Madison pulling out the receipts out of her armpit. Like, I got the screenshots. You're not a good friend to him. That, I must say, is probably the number one moment now on Love is Blind seasons. It has to be. It has to be, right? Because what's funny is that they're counting down the top 5 Love is Blind moments. And then like in the middle of that, Madison's like, well, I got receipts right here. Yeah, I think I've read a lot of comments too, and people are like, "Oh, Madison seems like she's like a fake girl's girl and all this stuff." And I don't know. I'm not 100% sure, but she did show up with receipts though. Girl had proof of what you said though. So and the emojis and stuff like that in that specific conversation of the receipts she was showing, like, kind of looked like he was making fun of Mason or whatever. So I don't know. That was a little. It was a little sketch. It was a little sketch. I'm not a huge fan of like airing out people's dirty laundry like that. But I guess too, like him trying to deny all this stuff. She's like, I'm just gonna bring these receipts just in case. That's pretty funny. The dude walked right into that, right? He's like, that doesn't make any sense. And she's like, well, hold on. I got it right here. You're a liar. It was pretty funny. Yep, number one moment. And yeah, my conclusion is fear can ruin things, guys. Outside sources. And the fear of, should I trust this person in front of me and just have the experience? Should I jump full force into this or just walk away? I don't know. I actually commend all the couples that walked away, because sometimes that can be hard. It can be hard to choose just continuing to be by yourself, even though you see someone that maybe they're not at their full potential, but they have some of the things that you want. But I commend them for not settling and just saying yes. I'm not so sure about Sarah and the Ben thing. Because it's like, could she have just been more open to him just not having that many opinions? Why don't you just be the one with the opinions, girl? But, if that's something that's extremely important to her and she needs somebody to have strong opinions, then you know what? She needs to go and find that. And then she did make the right decision, right, for herself. So it is what it is. Who am I to comment on these other people's love lives? Anyway, I just find it very fascinating and interesting, and commend these people for going on TV and falling in love. That shit is not easy. And it was very interesting. It was the heartbreak season for sure, because only one couple got married. All right, now the final thing I want to talk about with you guys. This is going to be a slightly shorter episode, but the last show we're going to cover is Beast Games. Beast Games, what's that? Beast Games is a Amazon Prime, basically competition show created by Mr. Beast, and it was created with, there's so much money was put into it. It's insane. It has the highest cash prize, the most contestants of any show. He gives away a crap ton of money, has a bunch of different games. So there's physical games, there's mental games, there's games of sacrifice, there's social games where they have to work together and things like that. Loved it. I loved all 10 episodes of it. One of my friends, Kay, was actually in the first episode, so that was really cool. Hopefully we can get her on the podcast soon. But that was incredible. She was eliminated when nobody in her team sacrificed themselves. So in the very beginning, one of the first things that they did is somebody needed to sacrifice themselves in the row to save the whole rest of the row. I'm not a huge fan of games like that, but the psychology behind it is cool. So that part of it I like. I kind of just want to talk mostly about the final 5 contestants. So you have 831 Jeff, who ends up winning the whole thing. I'm actually super happy he won, because he had such a good cause trying to find a cure for his son. And, what better person to win? 974 was Gage. He was the one that won $1 million and ended up doing the coin flip so that Jeff could even win 10 million, because originally the cash prize was 5 million. And then he flips the coin and he calls tails, which, by the way, if you don't know, there's actually it's actually a 49% chance that you can get it on tails and a 51% chance if you pick heads. So the fact that he picked tails, I was like, no, dude, what are you doing? This kid's insane. Just meant to be, very meant to be. 830 was Tawana. She's like a semi-pro wrestler or something like that. Man. she was definitely a strong competitor. I didn't like a lot of her facial expressions in some of these last few episodes. She was getting real scary, but she was a good competitor. She showed a lot of leadership. She did a lot of stuff, except for one of the last games with the puzzle. She straight up was like, "I'm not even gonna try it." So there's definitely, everybody has a weakness, like they say, right? But yeah, she was a fierce competitor. 937 Emma. I feel like Emma just kind of slid by. 947 Yesenia, which they kind of teamed up on her at the end, which I wasn't stoked about. And then 424 Courtney. Yeah, she was my favorite. Super hot. But yeah, it was very interesting. It was very, very interesting to see the final game and to see Jeff win. It was just insane. I don't even know what I would do if I won $10 million. I mean, I'd hire a financial advisor probably first and foremost. But yeah, I don't even know. Like, it's almost like just having like too many opportunity that it's like overwhelming. I don't know if you guys feel that way, but like I would probably like need to go take a nap first before like making any decision. Anyway, it sounds incredibly insane. But in terms of how they played, I like I said, I feel like Emma kind of slid by. I think Gage was good and definitely strategic. I think Courtney played, along with Tawana, Courtney played with a lot of integrity. So it was cool to see that. It was definitely cool to see some good people get to the end, and all of them won a little bit of money, from one episode or another. The one guy I do want to talk about. Hold on, let me go to this guy. Guy on Beast Games. Hold on, Guy on Beast Games, who took over. Wait, where is it? Who is player? No. Player 566, aka JC, chose to have $650,000 for himself. So there was a guy JC, who took $650,000 for himself. What do you guys think about that? They had an opportunity where everybody could have taken 100,000. Let me just tell you a little bit about this decision that this guy made. All right. A lot of people would have made that same decision. I just want to say that. Clearly, he had a ton of debt and he wanted to pay that off. And that's what he was thinking about. He was thinking about his family and all this stuff. That's what he was thinking about. It was a purely selfish decision. But you have to remember this. Isn't that why you came on Beast Games? To win money? Did we come on Beast Games to compete to lose? Like, what would be the point of that? They want you to take the money. Like, that's the thing. However, now I don't know that I would have done the same thing. But however, if you notice, there was no effing way he was going to get past that challenge after that, right? Nobody was going to vote for him for anything. And that's how you have to think about that in those games like that. If you make a defining decision like that, it is game over for you, buddy, because your people game is dead because you just showed how selfish you are. Now, everybody is selfish to an extent. Everybody's selfish. And I am surprised they kind of gave JC more shit than the other dude, that Michael, that picked 230,000. Like, he did the same thing. It was just a little bit less money than the 650. You know what I mean? And they gave him like not as much crap. Obviously, they needed money in the next challenge, right? But like, JC's not going to spend the money. He's like, no, I'm just going to keep this money. But everybody has this little selfish thing. However, you're on that show to make money. So like, hello. But in a game where you have to work with other people, making a decision like that and making a selfish decision doesn't work out for you, because then if you need votes, no one's voting for you, homie, because you just got all that money unless you pay them, right? So it was really interesting. If you haven't watched Beast Games, you have no idea what the hell I've just been talking about for like 20 minutes. Please go watch it, because I promise you, you're going to find it pretty interesting. And I'd love to hear what you think about it. I'd love to hear what you think about it. I think Mr. Beast did an absolutely incredible job. A lot of the shots were incredible. The sets were incredible. It was really cool to see people falling down that thing. It was really cool to see like the teamwork games that they did, the trivia type games that they did. I wish they did more memory stuff, more brain stuff in the beginning. I guess they did a little bit of it, but I kind of would have liked to see a little bit more of that. They did do a lot of physical stuff. They did do a lot of like stuff involving like games with balls and catching and all that. Yeah, it was really cool. It was really cool to see. I think it was such a successful show. I was definitely hooked on it, waiting for it every single week, watching every single episode over again. I'm probably going to watch it all over again from the beginning. And I already did watch a few episodes all over again just because. But don't villainize the characters or the people. These are real people, and a lot of y'all would have made the same exact decisions. So it was just interesting. It was great TV. I hope Mr. Beast does it again. That would be super, super cool. And hey, Mr. Beast, if you ever need somebody else to come on, if you ever shoot anything in Hawaii, I'll definitely be your girl. Thank you guys so much for watching Lucy's Paradise Podcast. As I reviewed Love is Blind Season 8 and Beast Games, go watch it. Tell me what you think, and thanks again for watching. Aloha, guys.